I'm here with Michael Ien Cohen, the director of Humanity Stoked. Michael, how does it feel to be here at Soho?
It feels surreal. It's, as a first-time filmmaker to have a U.S. theatrical premiere in New York, my hometown. I was born in New York. I've lived here most of my life. I live here now, and it feels very, very gratifying. It's amazing.
Is it safe to say that you feel stoked?
It is always safe to say that I feel stoked. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us about the film. Give me like a basic synopsis.
It's a really interesting concept. I think most people think because of the skating theme that it's about skateboarding directly. It's really not, even though it has a cast of the world's most iconic skateboarders that really ever existed. But the cast also includes iconic scientists and educators and activists, artists and musicians, all of whom share a love of skateboarding. But the beautiful thing is that it's not really about skateboarding. It's about human issues. And 9 or 10 of them in particular that affect our ability to move forward together peacefully and successfully. Issues about our understanding of fear and how we can avoid letting that really guide our hands in life. Depression and addiction and homophobia, xenophobia, racism and female empowerment. So it's all of these human issues that everyone is talking about in the film, not really directly about skateboarding, even though there's that back thread to it that makes it really interesting.
What skaters did you get for the film?
Oh wow, you could almost just throw a dart. I've been really fortunate. Guys that really developed skateboarding back in the day. Guys like Ray Barbie and Christian Zoy and Tony Alva and guys that are iconic like Bob Burnquist and Tony Hawk and Nigel Houston and Liz Armato and Vanessa Torres and Amelia Brodka. So there's just a huge array of iconic skaters in the film that I'm grateful to have in the cast.
How did that kind of come about? Did you grow up in that world? Did you kind of have like a Rolodex of famous skateboarders?
No, it's interesting. I actually didn't know any famous skateboarders. I didn't know any pro skateboarders. I didn't know anyone in filmmaking, but I am a lifelong skateboarder myself. So I started skating in '75. I was probably 7, 8 years old. And so I've always had a love of skateboarding, and to be able to combine that with my other dreams that I've had my whole life of doing, which is to be in film, be a filmmaker, and to also be a humanitarian. Even as a kid, I didn't know what that word was, but yeah, to at least try and make a difference in the world. And to be able to combine those things, skateboarding and film, which is in itself really combining all these other art forms and then with humanitarian work and to help inspire people, this is like a dream come true for me.
Is there one particular thing that you think audiences might take away from it?
And people have said it was hard conceptually to talk about the film before I had any famous people in the cast. It was challenging to get people to understand, and then at some point we passed this pivotal point and it just started resonating with people. But there is a central thing, and that thing affects all the other things really, which has to do with overcoming fear. Fear leads to hate, whether we're talking about xenophobia or homophobia or racism, or we're talking about even drug abuse. We're talking about depression. A lot of these things have a root in fear. And so that's a central theme that I hope everyone can come away with a better understanding of how to accept your vulnerability and dig deep into understanding your fear so you can move past it. Having said that, all these subjects in the film, whether it is depression or addiction or any of these issues, if even just any parts of the film could resonate with someone and help that person, especially if that person could look at maybe someone that may be an idol of theirs and a hero of theirs, and to see that they also are human and struggle with the same things that all of us struggle with, and can find that inspiring, then my mission's accomplished. No matter how the film is perceived or received by critics, and we've been fortunate. We just won the jury prize for Best Documentary at Humanity International, and we won awards in Paris and in Amsterdam. But really what it comes down to, if even just a couple of people in an audience or watching it at home eventually can come away from the film inspired to think a little bit more deeply about any of these subjects, then that's really the mission accomplished, because that's why I made it. I'm giving 100% of our revenue from distribution away to charity, and I made this without paying anyone. This is a massive all-volunteer effort. And so if it can help a handful of people, then that's amazing. Everything else is gravy.
It sounds personal to you. Was there something that you had to overcome, or as part of the process that you were kind of overcoming a personal fear?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all of these issues in the film, they're issues that I am deeply passionate about, and always have been for my entire life. And but the central issue that binds them all together, which is fear. You're talking to a person who knew that he wanted to be a humanitarian and a filmmaker since he was 13 years old, and I let fear stop me from even trying. I mean, literally not spending a day of my life pursuing that dream, just focusing on the reasons why I can't, and convincing myself I would go to film school tomorrow, or I would write a script tomorrow, and became next week and next month and next year, and approaching 50 years and sliding into a horrible depression. I started being honest with myself over the fact that I had been lying to myself. And suddenly the prospect of being lucky enough to live until my 80s or 90s, and being on my deathbed and looking back with shame, really, not for not having become a filmmaker, but for not even trying, not for not having started a children's foundation and becoming a humanitarian, but for not even trying when they were such a profound part of my value system, and then to not do anything about it. And that is the most powerful thing, finally coming to terms with understanding why that was, and trying to help others by inspiring them to have that epiphany and understand that they can get out of their own way and do things, whether that's becoming a filmmaker or doing anything else they want in their life that they may not feel they can do because they're a victim of circumstance. And some people clearly are, but more often than not, we have much more power than we give ourselves credit for in impacting our lives and impacting the world all around us. And I hope that's what people take away from the film as well.
Where are you guys in the festival run right now, and what's the plan for distribution?
The premiere this year was in Tampere, Finland. And then it was Paris and Amsterdam, where I mentioned we won awards, and then Edmonton International, which is 2 weeks ago, again, where we won a jury prize for Best Doc. And then next week is a Newport Beach Film Festival, then Portland Film Festival, then St. Louis International, then International Social Change Film Festival, and then South African Independent Film Festival after that. And we just found out we were selected for a festival in San Francisco, a new concept film festival, which this film is kind of unique, and so they took that, and there are others to follow. It's like a whirlwind. It's hard for me to wrap my head around, having never done anything in film, and then you do this, and it resonates with people. Is an unbelievable feeling. Do
you think eventually you guys will do you want to do a theatrical distribution, or do you think you see this as more of a streaming vehicle?
A theatrical release is fun, and but the reality is the vast majority of people that will ever see a doc these days are going to see that in a streaming platform. So a theatrical release, a limited theatrical release would be great, but my main goal is not hinged on ego, and I want the most people to be able to see this film and hopefully be inspired by the messages in it and the stories in it. And the only way to do that with a doc now is streaming. It's just not going to happen in theaters, because there's not enough people that are going to go see docs in theaters. So that is the ultimate goal, to be on a major streaming platform, and we have distributors now that are actually just starting to kind of court us, which is a wonderful thing. But right now we're just taking our time, biding our time, and enjoying this film festival circuit, and seeing what happens, seeing how it unfolds over the next 6 months.
If people want to know more about you, about the film, where can they find you guys online?
Oh, that's simple. The website for the film is Humanity Stoked. All our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, is Humanity Stoked. And I encourage people to follow us.